Motherhood comes in many forms, some immediately recognizable, some with other earmarks, but not quite as obvious. At 7, I helped mother my newborn sister, even though I had only the foggiest notion of what motherhood meant. At 14, I helped mother my godson, who lived in our house with his own mother. At 21, I began caring for my eldest son, my first foray into mothering independent of another mother. 2 more children followed 10 and then 20 years later, but I knew I wasn't done. With almost 35 years of parenting experience, a home frequently bursting at the seams with young people, and a career in foster care, providing a safe space for children in need seemed a natural next step, the yin to my nurturing yang. Starting slowly, our first experience was unique. We cared for 5 siblings, ages 5 through 14, on weekends, holidays, and school vacations for a year. During the week, they lived with an aunt in Pennsylvania. As foster parents who want to help families reunify, we asked to do visits with their mother in our house. This arrangement suited us perfectly, and those children happily returned home after a year. Feeling overly confident, approximately 5 months later, we became foster parents to 4 more children, siblings, ages 3, 11, 13, and 14. Adding 4 children to our home required some adjustment, especially adding 3 adolescent girls to a family that has known only boys. The first couple of months were spent in a surreal getting-to-know-you state, trying to cook their favorite foods, negotiating over 2 short shorts and tops that left nothing to the imagination, and teaching all 3 girls how to use a tampon through a closed bathroom door, challenging my descriptive abilities. Caring for their brother was pure joy. His charismatic energy was both exhausting and exhilarating all at once. Certainly, we knew there would be challenges. Merging 2 families together takes some time. Developing trust and a cooperative spirit with children you have not raised can be daunting. And 4 adolescents in one house, along with a nonstop 3-year-old, was both energizing and enervating. But even knowing that, even armed with my endless optimism and foster care know-how, there were many times I felt ill-prepared. Many times I felt my loose style of parenting was not effective for our new family members, but wasn't sure I could parent any other way. Our relatively peaceful lives were soon filled with arguments, defiance, secret languages, and disdain. Family dinners became a battlefield, lines drawn sharply with no sign of surrender. Their 3-year-old brother struggled, embracing the love we felt for him, but being pulled in the direction of distrust by his 3 big sisters. I soon realized I was not in a happily ever after sitcom, but in a real-life situation with 3 angry adolescents who were very unhappy about being away from their mother and who very much saw us as part of the system that was making this their reality. But motherhood had taught me that each moment together, each experience shared, would pave the way to a stronger connection. Ever so slowly, we went from difficult dinners to cooking together, from hiding behind closed bedroom doors to walking into town for ice cream, from retreating to our corners to meeting in the middle of the living room, to dance with abandon to music my house had never heard. During this time, we worked closely with their parents, who were weekend visitors in our home. For me, mothering their 32-year-old mother was instinctive. Caring for her and recognizing her needs allowed us to mother together. Her strengths supporting my efforts, my experience supporting hers. Still, I was worried there would be no happy ending, that between the anger and the sadness, we would find no sustainable common ground. And then, one evening, as I found myself sitting alone in my room, worn out from the day and doubting myself, one by one, the children made their way in. The conversation turned to clothes, crushes, YouTube, and funny stories that made us all laugh. And I leaned back on the couch and smiled for what felt like the first time in 2 months. And then, without warning, They smiled back. I was unsure what to make of those happy faces, but when they smiled again and then again, I finally exhaled. My doubts disappeared and my heart sang. I knew we would all be okay. With a little luck, a heart full of hope, and more patience than I ever thought possible, love did eventually bloom. And as the children slowly folded into that love, they began to relax and allowed me to take care of them, to mother them through this difficult time in their lives. Their complete acquiescence seemed remarkable given their prior resistance. I think we were all just exhausted. While my husband and I struggled as we learned to parent these new children, we also shared beautiful moments when everything clicked, realized what amazing and generous souls our own children are, and bonded over some of the frustrations we both feel with a system that rarely works in favor of families. But perhaps the most remarkable consequence of foster parenting has been the positive reactions of my friends, family, and neighbors. There were many questions related to both foster care and the children themselves, and each question gave me an opportunity to express what I know absolutely, that opening your life to these children and their families is beyond enriching. It is, most simply put, life-affirming. That in all the sadness of foster care, there is also the beauty of children being children, of incredible mothers living in poverty who strive against all odds to make it work, and of motherly love that has nothing to do with material possessions or white picket fences. And while many had preconceived notions of what these children's lives must have been like in their home, I was able to share with them the wonderful connection I saw between the children and their mother, and to disabuse them of the notion that foster care necessarily means abuse or families that shouldn't be together. In the end, motherhood bends but does not break. Those children happily returned to their family, their mother. And when my children share with me the love they feel for these beautiful girls and that adorable little boy, it is clear to me that caring for these children gave much more to my family than we could ever give to them. Since then, we have fostered a 12-year-old boy who returned to his family and are currently fostering a wonderful 19-year-old as he makes his way into adulthood. We remain connected to each family and each child as they are part of our hearts and the hearts of many in our community who have interacted with them. For my family, foster care means lasting connections, the creation of a wonderfully diverse family of adults who share the common bond of loving the same children, and of children who share the bond of being loved by their own family and our family as well. For me personally, it means expanding the circle of motherhood even further, creating an almost bursting bubble full of the particular joy and happiness that can only come from loving a child.